Yeah, I'm David Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. We're out here to do a candlelight visual on behalf of my son, and also to bring light into other families who are going through similar situations. So thank you. I'm thanking everybody who's out here to support. We need to stand in solidarity to bring attention to this case and to make a statement.
Oh, I'll be your shelter, I'll be your armor. I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS. I will send out an army to find you in the middle of the darkest night. It's true, I will rescue you. I will never stop marching to reach you in the middle of the hardest fight. It's true, I will rescue you.
When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family. Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello, everyone. Dave Robinson here, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. Thanks so much for joining me on this live stream tonight. I know I didn't put it on the schedule. Later one know I was going to do this, but I had to. We're coming up to June 23rd will mark 5 years that my son has been missing. I've been doing a whole lot in between time, and these dates can actually sneak up on you. I definitely normally would have done before I started running for U.S. Congress is closer to the 23rd of each month. I would have a fast and prayer for Daniel, and that is consisting of fast and prayer for all the missing Americans across the country. If you all remember in the grassroots movement, we do this prayer and fast for a day to help the families of the missing, those who went missing today. As we know, 3,000 Americans go missing every day in this country, over 2,000 children in that day. Currently here in South Carolina, we have 280 missing Americans. And one of those things that we do is make sure that we do what we can to try to help as many American families as we can. Because I know the most important part of looking for your loved one is communication. And those communication come from in the form of people like you sharing the stories, getting our stories out there, because a lot of cases out of the 600,000, not many cases would make it on national news, for instance, or some of the local news. We don't get to hear about these stories, these 3,000 Americans that go missing every day. So it's important for a family who is missing for looking for a missing loved one to have you as an ally, and when it comes to search for their missing loved one. So again, communication is key. I'm just starting off this way because it's important. One of the things I learned is, for instance, in Daniel's situation, if someone was happened to be passing by the area of Sun Valley Parkway, that Sonoran Desert, and saw something that day, but it was in a U-Haul truck and it was on the way to Little Whiskey, Georgia. I know I say this a lot. It was on the way to Little Whiskey, Georgia, for instance, from all the way from Buckeye, Arizona. And you happen to share a story, and then it's something that jots in their memory of that day. Say, hey, I seen this young man on that day of June 23rd, 2021. And I remember seeing XYZ. It kind of brings some things back to memory. So you'll be surprised how a little share, which a lot of times only take about 3 seconds to do, can actually bring someone back home for their family. So I really encourage you all to do that. So that's what we're starting off for tonight. But I came on tonight because I wanted to do a Q&A. As you remember, Q&As used to be every day, literally, when I was in Arizona. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I've been talking all day. But when I was in Arizona, I used to have a Q&A every day, every morning. If you guys remember, Arizona time, I think it was 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. That was pretty much 9, 10 o'clock here on the East Coast. But I would do that every morning to talk about Daniel's case, to talk about other families, to bring awareness of missing Americans. So I'm doing that tonight. I want to talk about a few cases, and then also I want to open it up to the chat box. For those who don't know about my son's case, my son, geologist Daniel Canez Robinson, a native of Columbia, South Carolina, born and raised. My son went to AC Florida High School. He graduated there with honors as well, graduated from AC Florida High School, went into the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina, where he pursued his career in geology. He pursued it there at the College of Charleston, South Carolina, graduated with honors, decided to take his career, his life, what he learned into Arizona. It's an ideal state for a geologist. Daniel loved the desert. He loved the terrain. He loved the things about Arizona. So he moved to Arizona, landed a job with Matrix New World Southwest Groundwater. It's right there in Phoenix. I believe it's 44th Street in Phoenix, Arizona. They hired him on as a field geologist. It's a engineering company, but they hired him on as a field geologist, also called a hydrogeologist. What Daniel does is go out to various well sites, various areas where there's groundwaters. His job is to assess those groundwaters. In many cases, developments, for instance, in Arizona by law, developments and communities have to have at least these two wells that produce 100 years of water. His job is to be able to determine that that well, the groundwater can produce 100 years of water to support that community, how much volume is coming out there, the speed, all that kind of stuff, the technology, the science behind that, what kind of sediments is in the groundwater. Is water even drinkable? Like I said, that wells have to recharge after 100 years. They have to be able to determine that. So there's a lot of science into that, those volumes and things like that. So his job is very important for the state of Arizona. And so he went out there to work, take his career out there, left South Carolina. That's his first time leaving home, his first time having a job. My son, very proud young man, started off with a Phfd, what I like to call a fix now and repair later type vehicle, but something to get him to work on time because he's a very responsible young man. But he later saved up his money and was able to buy his first car that he wanted. And so he had the Jeep Renegade that we're known about now. And so again, Daniel's life in Arizona is something that he wanted to do. He loved going hiking, the sceneries out there, of course, just everything about Arizona. One of the number one places I've seen him like that he told me about was Sedona. For instance, if you go to Sedona, you already know how beautiful that is. So those areas where he can go hike and do those things that he liked. But like I said, it's an ideal place for geologists. But anyway, he was there, and on June 23rd, 2021, he was just like any other day, get assigned to do some work. He got assigned to 2 well sites that day, according to his job, Matrix New World. He went to a well site off of on Verrado Way, out there going towards Buckeye, was in Buckeye, Arizona, and then also to Sun Valley Parkway, out there in the Sonoran Desert, where he ended up going missing. So he went missing on June 23rd. After he left the first well site, went to the second well site to meet one person out there in that desert, a guy named Ken Elliott. He's a engineer. He's a person that works with a company called Weber Waterworks. And my son was to meet him there at that site. And he and my son will be working there alone. But my son, according to Ken, met him out on Sun Valley Parkway. They spoke for a brief moment on the side of the road. My son followed him into the Sonoran Desert, 1 mile west to 2 miles north to get to this well site. Once they arrived at the well site, it was around 9 o'clock that morning, he says. At around 9:15, my son drove off to never be seen again. But in between that time, he says they had a conversation about the weather. He actually even saying my son was seemed odd and strange to him for whatever reason. He was looking into my son's eyes to see if his eyes are dilated, those kind of languages he had. But nevertheless, he said my son waved off to him, got in his vehicle and just drove off. And because of the weather that they discussed, one instant he said that it was raining, another instant he said it wasn't raining. It just appeared to be raining, about to rain. That's what made him look at the weather app to see if if that cell will pass. But nevertheless, he says at a later time he went to go look for Daniel. He followed some tracks that he saw and said it was Daniel's tracks that went back south to a T junction. So when I want to say when Daniel followed him into that desert, they come to a T junction where they end up going north for those 2 miles. That's 1 mile west, hit that T junction, and then go 2 miles north to get the well site. But he said he followed his tracks going the opposite direction, going the 2 miles south into the T junction. And once he got to the T junction, he says instead of him going left back out into Sun Valley Parkway, the tracks went right into the desert. And so he followed those tracks into the desert, he said. But that's all according to what he told me personally. Law enforcement, he just said he followed it until he got to the T junction, saw it go out west. But he had put a little more detail when he told me personally on June the 26th that he followed the tracks and he stayed left of the tracks, and not to so he wouldn't disturb them because he knew that law enforcement would come looking, and this is going to go viral, is the way he put it. And so whatever he was saying, oh no, I'm not viral, but national, going national, I meant to say. And he followed those tracks till he got to the T junction. You notice that it went out to west into the desert. He followed it until he got to a wooden gate. He got out of his vehicle, opened the gate, followed tracks through the wooden gate for another mile or so. He got into an open area, got into a higher elevation to see if he could see my son from afar, see his vehicle. And then he started proceeding to paint some rocks, he said, with red paint so law enforcement could know where to come look. And so that was his story. But my son nevertheless remained missing all the way until this day. 30 days after he went missing on June 23rd, his vehicle showed up further into that Sonoran Desert, out in a remote part of the desert in a 20-foot ravine. It was lying on his passenger side. Allegedly, the clothes that my son was wearing on his body, everything from his underwear down to his socks, were lying away from 3 feet away from the vehicle. Pants legs turned inside out. Wallet was found in his personal effects. His wallet was found in the pants pocket. His work computer, laptop, his keys, his cell phone was found in the vehicle. Untouched cases of water, those type things. But that was the little details about how the initial story about my son went missing began. Of course, you all know the rest of the story when I have got alerted from my daughter, from one of Daniel's off the work friends from the job came to her apartment, asking if Daniel was there. He explained to her that, he's kind of looking for him. No one heard from him since 9 o'clock that morning, or I think he said even 8 o'clock that morning. And he was saying he was there. But that was an alert enough. My daughter got really, really bothered by that. So of course she called me here in Columbia, South Carolina, and to let me know what was going on. Of course, as a family, we had to do our due diligence first, so we did all of that. Check families. I called Dane's mother and I divorced. Even reached out to her and her husband to see if they heard from him. Family, other family members, friends, those things alike. But nevertheless, no one heard from Daniel, not even friends. My children, my daughter, twins, they called some of Daniel's friends that they knew of, and no one heard from Daniel. So, of course, from that point, that's when I went to the next elevation of that, had my daughter to go over to his apartment, take someone with her, which she did, and to see what she can see if he's home. Of course, she knocked on the door when she didn't see his vehicle out there, but she still went to his apartment anyway. Doors were locked, but she was able to see inside the apartment through a opening on the patio, and she saw that the light was on in the living room. She thought that was really strange to her because she know how Daniel is about his electricity. And so, some of those things that we saw his vehicle there, not there. And in fact, that the light was on like that, that was the next step to get the law enforcement involved to do a welfare check in my behalf, because I'm all the way over 2,000 miles away here in Columbia, South Carolina. And there was that far, my children there. I wanted to make sure law enforcement, but I'll be honest with you, it was a little difficult at the time because during the time we had the George Floyd stuff going on. We had all this other things that was going on, and law enforcement at the time was doing a lot of shooting of people of color. And a lot of times you would think that, hey, I'm 2,000 miles away from, like, as a parent, I'm not there to watch law enforcement handle a situation with my son. And so I was a little nervous about that, sending law enforcement to his apartment, because a lot of times it's for good intent. And then in law enforcement they claim they have their reasons to shoot a person. So and so that was always a nervous thing for me at the moment, but I did that. The Tempe Police Department, my son was living in Tempe at the time, Arizona, and they denied the request, because when I mentioned at the time the White Tank Mountains, I didn't know what it was at the time, where he was last seen. And they put that jurisdiction to the Buckeye Police Department. So I had to go through the process with the Buckeye Police Department, who in turn took what I had told me I had to wait 12 hours. I think I was like 2 or 3 hours short. I think I'm 3 hours short of that. And then they told me I had to hang up the phone pretty much and call back again after those hours up, which I did. I'm going to tell you really quick, hindsight, if I forget, to families who listen to me now, there's no such thing on any law enforcement that you have to wait. That's just something that individually officers would tell you because they just don't want to do the job, or they think they know someone better than your own family. So don't ever let law enforcement tell you that. And that's one thing I don't want to forget. And so I'm kind of getting off subject right now to let you know that part. But the thing is, Daniel, I did call back to do the request to get them out there to do a welfare, and also to file Daniel missing. And so I was able to do that with the Buckeye Police Department, who in turn called TNP to have them to do the welfare check. They went by the department. That consisted of them doing the same thing my daughter did, knock on the door, check the door knob. And they also said they noticed that they can look through the patio and saw light. They didn't see anything on their end would be suspicious to them. And so that was the end of the actual welfare check. But again, I was able to put that missing American report in, and that was with the officer Cruz at the time, was the officers that was on duty. And I was able to try to ask them to just work with them, get all the information I can from James' job to relay back to them. But he immediately told me he was going to go into the area where Daniel went missing, which was on Sun Valley Parkway. He explained to me that that road is a very, very long road. So he's going to be riding, him and his partner will be riding up and down Sun Valley Parkway to see if he happened to got stuck on the side of the road or something. and they can help him out. So in the midst of that, I started getting more information that no, Daniel was working out inside that desert, and it was nighttime in Arizona at the time. I was very concerned. Daniel never been out there. I learned that was his first time ever going out to that area, first time in that Sonoran Desert, and he's from South Carolina, and that's when I haven't mentioned about Daniel as I was doing the introduction to him, as my son was born without a right hand. That's when I had to, even like I never did it him as a child. Daniel has never been treated differently. He have never used that as an excuse to anything what he wanted to do. But at that moment, I had to use that as an element to try to think that I can get law enforcement to give it even more urgency to get a helicopter out there to go search for my son. So I did request that. That was denied until the next morning. They said they would do it, but then when the next morning came, it was denied again because the higher ups said it was unauthorized because they felt that Daniel's a grown man. If he wanted to disappear, he can. If he wanted to, basically, that's what their language were. So that was the key of the problems that we have in Daniel's case. But I'm going to stop here because there's a lot of details I can go all night with this. It's kind of hard to put a whole case information that was hindsight and things that was going on at the time in this little moment. So what I think the better way to do that is to ask these, go ahead and open up to the chat session. And if you have any questions about my son's case or something I can answer, I see I am Zodiac Cancer. Thank you for being here. And I'm sure you've done this before because I see you have there what I was about to say here. If you have a question in the chats, please put the word question in all caps before your question. Then I can identify that chat, your chat as a question. And I will go to your question because that's what I'll be chiefly looking for. Or you can put the capital letter Q or a question mark before your question so I can identify your question. But I want to stop real quick. One more thing I want to do before I do get into that question aspect of it. Again, I would like to do a really quick prayer. Today is the 22nd, and I haven't done this in a while. Like I said, normally it would have been a monthly thing. When it comes to near the 23rd of every month, I would do what is called a fast and prayer for Daniel. Being that I'm not be able to do the fasting, I can do the prayer. But it's called fast and prayer for Daniel. But again, it's for the families out here who have missing loved ones. So I want to give a really quick prayer, and I will be back with the prayer. So I hope you all stick in with me on this live stream. Thank you.
You are my shelter from the storm. You keep me safe inside your wings. You are my comfort when life gets hard. You lead me to water to drink. Your gentle hand, even when I can't understand, I know your voice. I'm not afraid, walking with me at the same pace.
Heavenly Father, I thank you, Lord, for this day, life, health, and strength. I thank you for this moment. I thank you for bringing everyone that's here with me today together. You say we're two or three gathered together, you're in the midst. So I want to thank you for being here with all those who are with us as we pray for those who have missing loved ones, as we pray for my family, as we pray for those who went missing this day. We know there's 3,000 Americans here that go missing. There's missing Americans all across this country, but also there's missing people all across this world. So we want to pray for those families who are going through things right now, the pain, the suffering, as for their strength, as for their healing, and also the answers that they are looking for. Put them in the right place, at the right time, to get those answers to bring their loved ones home. We want to bring the loved ones home safely. And Lord, we ask you for those things. Those who have requests right now, also that's listening to my voice. We know we're all going through some things in our country right now. We all have our issues and things that's bothering us right now. We have these desires and things that we need help on, Lord. I ask you right now to open up your blessings in heaven and pour out blessings to those who are hearing my voice right now, who have needs of blessings. I want to thank you for everything you have done for us this whole entire week, keeping us from seen and unseen dangers, and keeping us safe and providing for us. We thank you in Jesus' name, amen. So just want to say thank you, everyone, for just being here with me on this prayer. Again, I like to try to do it every month, but I can tell you I have been, campaigning with my congressional run. Everyone knows I'm running for U.S. Congress. So, it takes a lot. It took a lot more than I thought it would when it's running for office. But at the same time, I am still here. We're still warriors for the missing, fighting for missing Americans. That's what got me in this place where I'm at now, the opportunity to try to help as many Americans as I can that goes missing across this country. Was able to write some legislation towards that, so that really would help our families and help everyone in this country. So that's what I'm looking forward to continue to work. But right now, like I said, I wanted to do this really quick Q&A. I haven't been able to do live streams much, so it is kind of late here in Columbia here for those who are out there out west. It is 10:34 right now here. I think it's 7 there, 7:34 in Arizona, California. So thank you so much. I know you're probably tired from coming off of work. Those who are already here in the East Coast are already probably ready to go to bed. It's the weekend. But if you have any questions, I did have one question already lined up. And on the Instagram side, I can see you. I can't put you on the screen. But those who on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I can put you on the screen. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have put a corner there so everyone can see you there on the screen. But I am going to put you on a larger form. If you have a question, again, put the word question before your question, a capital letter Q or a large question mark, and that way I can identify your question in the comment section, and I will display it. So I have one here again. Thank you. I am Zodiac Cancer. Thanks so much again for being here and supporting. I have a question. If Ken saw Daniel got into his car and drove off after their brief conversation about the weather, why didn't Ken get in his vehicle and follow him? And I find that very suspicious. And there's a lot of details, and I agree with you. I am Zodiac. There's a lot of details about Ken's story that is consistent to reality. Of course, we have a really, really big debate, and I even had some debate with some of my desert team, for lack of words, search team. Some of the staffing that I had there, we have to have our opinions about Ken's story, but also we had of course had debates about the weather at the time. You have some that say it wasn't raining in that area, could have been on the other side of Buckeye, but that area wasn't raining out there in that desert. And some say, oh yeah, it was raining, but either way it goes, it's not significant rain, according to the rancher. And so one of the things that stands out with that, like you said, the brief conversation that he had, and he said, hey, you know what? According to him, he said, oh, he was acting odd and strange to him, to the point that he felt like he had to go and try to look in see if his eyes dilated. And I'm gonna tell you what, my son had my color eyes, and and to be a black man, it's impossible without a flashlight to be looking at a black person's eye and see if their eyes are dilated. So I don't believe that, first of all. And then the other part is, trust me, Daniel would not let some grown man sit there and try to look in his eyes or something, so that wouldn't be happening that way. So some of those things, just knowing my son was already a problem for me. My son thinking. So one of the things also, when you say that, yeah, there's a lot of things when it comes to what you're saying. I am Zodiac. If you're that concerned, why wait till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon to say I'm gonna go out there and go follow these tracks and or those things, or go even make a phone call. His phone call to Daniel after he went missing was, I think, near 3 o'clock that evening. If you was that concerned, after you say you're following these tracks and things like that. So also, like you said, if he had a brief conversation about whether he didn't go right immediately, that's another thing. The other part is, when I had 50 weeks of desert searches, he didn't come to one. So that is something that says a lot. If you was that concerned about him not returning back to the job site. So some of the things, when you say things with your mouth and then the actions are two different things, that bothers me. But the bigger part about Ken's story for me is this inconsistency on time. His timeline that they got there at 9 o'clock, and Daniel drove off around 9:15. But on Daniel's cell phone record, he made his last call to Ken on 9:28. Now, mind you, Daniel have never met Ken before, and he had to go meet him out in this place where he had never been before. So it's logically to say that if Daniel gonna call him for any reasons, he's calling him for directions because they asked him to get directions for Ken from Ken, and that's from his job. So the thing is, that would be the reason why he made that phone call at 9:28. But according to Ken, he was already gone. And then later on, he adjusted his story to from Officer Cruz that it was a 9 to the 9:15 to when it was I think it's Birchfield on the second time around. He said it was 9:30 when Daniel left. So, but that 9:30 would help the storyline when it comes to some other things that happened in the case that I can talk about later. But anyway, but anytime you have any inconsistency in the story, everyone know that the last person that's seen a person is the story is that person should be the first suspect, first of all, in a situation like that. The second part is you can't just take a word for it. You have to do some real investigating. There's things like law enforcement didn't take the time to even check ask some simple things like, come into the office and let's go talk about what you've seen and things like that. Take a real statement. And also later on, the cell phone would have been a bigger picture. Was he really out there? Was Ken in this area when this happened? Those type of things. Hindsight, once the case started moving forward. So there's a lot of things that could have been done out there. But thank you so much for your question, and I agree with you on that. The urgency for his standpoint, and to back that up to I am Zodiac. He didn't. Daniel's job didn't. Even his off the job friend did not call law enforcement. And what I'm saying is I had to drive all the way from South Carolina over 2,000 miles, to get there to start getting a search done myself for my son. So what I'm saying is you have Major New World, who have a lot of capital. Dan was on a job when he went missing, and they didn't even send a search team out for him. They haven't called law enforcement to report him missing. I had to do that. Those type things. So yeah, those are some of the things that stood out as well. All right, I have a question here, and thank you everyone for being here. Those who, and I'm trying to let me go back to that question real quick, Sam. I'm coming back, but I want to say thank you so much for being here. Blessing to all 200. Thanks so much for being here. Jessica Parker, thank you so much for being here. And Sam, thank you again for being here, and thank you so much for your question. Have you looked towards or around Gillabin? Gillabin, I been in some of those areas near Gillabin, but no, not specifically. Now I did do some um, uh, off of Verado Way. Let me see, it's the well, I did some specialized search. What I say is a special ops search, and I had a reason for that is because of the tip that was outside of the Sonoran Desert. But yes, I know what you talk about. I think that's the area you're speaking of is is I believe the Hassayapa River runs through there. I could be wrong, but I think that you're saying Sam. I'm not sure, but no, I think specifically no. Okay, I have another question in there. Has a written statement ever been made by anyone? No. As far as I know, no. According to the information I received from law enforcement, I can't verify that. So no, I don't believe so. Right now, I'm waiting on the FOIA request, and you all know the FOIA request I've waited for. I think they usually should have a reasonable amount. Is the way they get off of it, but really it's supposed to be like 30 days. It took them 3 months to get it done, and then when they did it, they charged me near $600 to receive it. So that's another issue when it comes to families. And again, I don't want to jump on the political side, but I have to because my whole run started from this right here, from this grassroots movement, from the Warriors for the Missing, because my son went missing, and so I had to find solutions, and those solutions was to write Daniel Robinson law that I was taking to U.S. Congress, and now it's being pushed here for South Carolina. But that I'm writing a bill right now that's surrounding the FOIA request for victims. So because I'm doing this for Arizona specifically, but I'm also going to write something here for South Carolina. But for Arizona, by Arizona's law, the family of a missing loved one is a victim as well. Anytime you have some cases like this that have been filed, the family can, under their law, can be called a victim as well. And so some things that law enforcement have been doing, especially with this FOIA request, is violating the victim's rights. And so I'm writing some legislation surrounding there. I don't want to get the details right now, but I'm working on that right now, and I'm going to reach out to some of the senators that I've been working with in the past in Arizona to see if I can get it introduced there. But I'm also going to try to push it here for South Carolina. But anyway, that is an issue for families. But yes, to get that kind of information from law enforcement is really hard. But as it stands right now, according to their police report and things like that, no, they haven't even brought in. The only person I know of who actually even been pulled into the police department concerning my son's case is me and my daughter, Davisha. They put us into this is my first time ever in my life being in an interrogation room. They put us in an interrogation room. Can you believe that? The family of the missing person in an interrogation room asking questions. That's where they was able to get a view of Daniel's phone records and a view of his bank statement, things like that, while we was in that room. But Ken was never in an interrogation room, or anyone else, except for one other person was in an interrogation room, but he was in to the department to talk to law enforcement, and that was this guy. You all probably know I'm not going to mention his name now. Who came off and said he was a federal law enforcement officer, showing badges and everything, impersonating law enforcement. Not in jail, believe it or not, over that. Was able to go to Buckeye Police Department to give his story about what he said, those type things. So those are the only persons I know who have ever been to the Buckeye Police Department involved in any way involved in my son's case. Question from I Am Zodiac Cancer. And if you have any questions, real quick, anyone on the Instagram side, again, I can see it on the screen. I just can't put it there put it on here on the screen, but I can see it on the other screen, and I will answer your question there as well. I have you and the search team search around the Hassayapa River? Yes. We not only around the Hassayapa River, but in the Hassayapa River, the dry bed. Of course, we do doing the dry. Yes, that's where we found some human remains. We found around the Hassayapa River area, also recover other cell phones that could possibly, I hope so, have solved some cases for other families. And so, yes, we did extensive things out in the Hassayapa River. One part I regret that I wasn't able to do going towards Surprise, going further north, but we did it in a reasonable way. But there are some areas in Arizona that I think now, and this is what, because we already know Buckeye is a sundown town, and being a Black American, it wasn't safe for me to be in those areas. So it made it very difficult to go search some certain areas out there. And I can just be straight up honest with that. And so that part made it very difficult, and it's still kind of difficult. That was even the area near those mountains that I heard, and I didn't hear this directly from law enforcement, but I did hear from the general, the people that live in that area, the residents around that area, that even law enforcement don't go in some of the communities because they're bad. You can tell because I hear 50 cal. I'm a veteran, a combat veteran, and they utilize machine gunnery sounds of 50 cal. And so those type of things. I try to stay away from those areas, even though it would have been very great to be able to get in some of those areas to make sure Daniel wasn't tangled up with those people in those areas. So, but anyway, thanks so much for your question. I have another question, Sam. How can I help you and learn more about your case? Well, you can help me by going to pleasehelpfinddaniel.com. I have to go, and I'll tell you, everyone, I have been working hard on this campaign. And when I went back on my website, a couple of things went wrong. The sector map that a lot of people is asking, so they can kind of have an idea of the area that we already searched, because we kept great records of that. That's how I know the 35,000 acres of land. And also um, the flyers, the requests, I have to fix that so you'll be able to request those flyers. I just didn't get an opportunity to go back into the website because I'm being straight up honest. I'm pretty much a one man person for everything. I run everything generally alone. So it's hard for me to stop and really get into go, because I can do websites, and to get back in and fix that area of the website that I went on there the other day and noticed that my form for you be able to request these flyers, because I still need flyer distribution. I still need people to get flyers out there. It's not working, and so I had to go in there and fix that. But the part that does work is for you to be able to download those flyers yourself, the PDF. If you want to help by printing those flyers out, I know it costs money because it costs me a lot to produce flyers to give out free. So if you're doing that, it definitely helped me financially, and in the situation to help for Daniel. The other part is I have on the Please Help Find Daniel .com website is the petition. I'm planning to get back in Arizona as soon as I get past this June 9th primary. I'm trying to get back in Arizona so I can get in law enforcement face, because I have a promise from the Buckeye Police Department. Detective Justin Adams, his name is Detective Justin Adams, gave me a promise to get this forensics done on that vehicle, on the clothing items, on all that personal effect, the things they found, because it's a lot that haven't been done. The red transfer paint, all the stuff that you guys know for the last years. This is stuff that they sat down with me and promised me in the custody exchange, that we use body cam footage to my own footage to signing papers to everything. But one of the things was to finally get law enforcement, because you guys know the stress that we had, the battle with Buckeye Police Department when Chief Hall was there. Chief Hall retired or quit or whatever he did, and we have a new Chief Sanders that's taken over. And when I was talking to Detective Adams, with that bad press with the Buckeye Police Department, they got in trouble for crime statistics, doing cheating on that crime statistic, for lack of words right now. But they have some corruption going on. That's what I'm trying to say. But when Detective Adams came on and gave me those promises, I thought it was a reset with this department, that I actually can work with them this time, and I could finally, because they knew I was in a desperate situation, because thank God for you guys who have been donated for those 4 years to keep my desert searches going, my flyer distribution and everything else. But they know that wasn't a forever thing, and when the funding started running dry, of course, I had to come back to South Carolina. When you're not in law enforcement's face, because you guys know when I was there, you had to know I had the news crews on News Nation to CNN to Dateline to you name it, on them like fire. I had you guys calling and doing all these other things that was keeping attention, and that was actually kicking the can down the road, in the sense, getting law enforcement to do the work that they should do on their own. But once I end up leaving Arizona and I'm back here, they're dragging their feet, right? So, like I said, I thought it was a reset with Detective Adams, but it's starting to seem like it's the same old thing. Now that they have everything that they have given me since June 9th, June 20th, 22nd of July 22nd of 2021, everything they gave me from that scene on for safekeeping, and I've been storing it for years, paying all this money, storing those items. Um, they finally got it back. You know, the other words, with that custody exchange. But now they got into possession. I have no, I guess, in a sense, don't have no leverage over them, and they're doing what they're doing. So that's why I had to get a FOIA request right now, try to find out what they've done before I go into public and go do what I do to be sure that they haven't done anything with these items. So, but according to Justice Adams, only thing I know that they done in my last conversation with him was he sprayed the clothing with some chemicals, something like, I guess how you say it, luminous or whatever it is. He didn't use that. He said because he wanted to preserve DNA, and used something else. And he said he didn't see any blood on the clothing or something to that effect. And then when I asked about if you guys remember, I requested in 2021 some forensics done on the vehicle, and what they did was swab the steering wheel, shifter, and door handle, and they haven't done anything to here to 2026 with that. So I asked them what are they doing with that, or what we got an answer back. He started kicking the can to some woman in another department, putting her as the blame, those type things. So it's a lot of things going on with the department. But like what I'm saying is, the key thing is the way you can help me is sign that petition, because I'm going back to Arizona, and when I get in their face, I like to have a petition of thousands of people that my grassroots movement, our grassroots movement, behind me when I approach law enforcement, say, hey, these are the people who believe in everything I'm doing, who's fighting for my son, XYZ, those type things. So that's what I use it for. So that sign a petition, you can do that, because I am going to do that, because that's the only way. When I'm in their face, you know how I am. You guys know I'm not afraid to question law enforcement. I'm not afraid to make them do their job and things like that. So I get in their face. And so I'm going to be there, and I just need that backing. If you guys want to do that. And those who are in Arizona, it may even come to a time, something I'll try to do in the past. Y'all probably remember Sheriff Penzone in the past before he retired out or quit. Um, he begged me pretty much, in the sense, not to have a protest at his location, because that's what I would do, to get things done. And so he gave me two things, but I can't say he did one of those things and didn't do the second. But I'm saying those things are effective. That's what I'm saying. So I would be there. So if when I get to Arizona, I may need your help if you're in Arizona, Sam, if you want to come out and do a sit-in, like I was going to do with the sheriff office, and a protest at the Buckeye Police Department to get these things done. So the other part is you can do the mail-in protest. That's for everyone, no matter where you're at, Sam. If you're not in Arizona, you can be in any state. You can join in the mail-in protest. I designed that and I created that because a lot of people did want to be a part of the protest when I was about to do that. And they say, but I live in New York, friends, or I live in South Carolina, or I live this place. I have family members that would like to do it. And so I came up with this thing called a mail-in protest, where you have PDFs that is the picket signs. And what my idea was to have thousands of them all across the country. As many as you can, you get your church members to do it, everybody, whoever, to send them in as much as you can, to flood them with all these mails with these picket signs. You know what those picket signs says. All of them say something different, and flood them in with that, so they cannot say that nobody care about Daniel Robinson's case, that is a cold case somehow, because it's not, because they're just not doing their job. And because if you do the forensics work, for instance, you're getting new leads in the case. So they can never ever say there's no leads in the case. They're just unwilling to find or to get those leads by doing the forensics. So that's a way you can help me. And also, finally, the donations. I definitely need that, because when I do have to go back to Arizona, we need the funding. When I'm doing the things I'm trying to do, keep the flyer distribution going, that need funding. So it's a lot of things. And then me personally, the personal loss. You guys probably saw I put a new GoFundMe up as well for my personal loss as well, and for the 5 years of fighting for Daniel. So it took a big financial toll on everything. So I can say that part too. And I really thank those who actually donated on my behalf. So I truly appreciate that. So those are the ways that you can help. And also again on our website, if and ever, because people asked me the last search I had for Daniel was April the 12th of 2025, that Saturday. And they asked, "Hey, Mr. Roberts going to have another search for his son out in the Sonoran Desert." I can tell you guys, and that was the last. That's kind of ironic. My friend Joseph Petito, Gabby Petito's father, wanted to come out there for that search, right? And it didn't dawn on me until we was out there on that search that was the 50th week of the 50th search. So it's 50 weeks of desert searches. And I'm gonna clarify that 50 weeks of public searches, because I was doing some searches in the weekdays, and also that's not including the flyer distribution every day after those searches out in the city. So you never hear about the city searches and things like that. You just hear about the desert search. But what I'm saying is 50 weeks. And when I was out there that day, I could tell you, anytime I go on the search out there, it's hard mentally, it's hard physically, emotionally. I mean, just everything. Everything. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to keep a smile on your face. It takes a lot to talk to people. It takes a lot to walk that desert. It takes a lot when you see you find some human remains, because you see animal remains too. A lot of animal remains. Animals out there, animals kill animals. That's just what it is. They eat out there. But what I'm saying is, it takes a toll. So for me to go out there after 50 weeks, when I realized it was 50 weeks, me and Joseph was out there, and I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, this is the 50th search. That's ironic. And so, from this point, it had to be very, very, very purposeful for me to go out there in this desert. It'd be very, very, and it's hard, believe it or not, with all the donations I've gotten over the years to help me with those searches. It's hard to keep asking people for financial help, right? So that's another part of it. So just like when I did that search on April the 12th, I think I started the idea. It was like in that November, roughly October, November. That's when I first met Detective Adams. I even kind of pre-talked that. He was asking me what day. I wasn't even sure what day I wanted to do it at the time, but I told him I'd let him know as it got closer. But they agreed to do it whenever I did it. But also, I didn't know how I was going to come up with the money to do it, right? Because it's kind of hard trying to GoFundMe your way to getting things done like that. So, but I took it the fact I didn't get the exact amount I thought I need, because I did these searches. Like I said, I'm kind of like an expert to know exactly how much I would need to conduct these searches. And so I didn't get the full amount, but I made it stretch. I made it work. And I was smiling about that because I was able to get the law enforcement to claim, like I said, the promises they said it was going to do. I was able to get them to do the custody exchange and still get the equipment and things, not the full equipment, but things I needed to keep volunteers safe and be out there in that desert and get the search. So again, with a combination of all that in my mind and all those in my thoughts, I have to be very purposeful to go back out in that desert, though there's areas that we still to this day haven't covered, because the Sonoran Desert is very, 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 very intimidating. You can not understand it until you're actually on the ground. It's easy for a person to look out and say, why take that long to search a desert? Because let's say if you was at that well site and they say Daniel walked off from that well site. I'm using an example. Let's say walk, not drive. He walked off from that well site. And you standing in one spot. If I turn a half right face or half left face, and I just go in a straight line, that straight line from that point will widen out, right? And so you got to search all of those areas, especially if you're doing a line search in those. That's how we found in the human remains. Law enforcement didn't even find their own hands in front of their face. They have, since Daniel went missing, they haven't even found a construction cone out there. They haven't found anything, but the volunteers, we found things out there. Everything. We solved the case from Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. That's from regular people. Law enforcement, like I said, didn't find anything, zero. So if you hear anything about things been found in Daniel's case, zero from law enforcement, and everything from ordinary people like you. So what I'm saying is it takes that kind of search to find human remains, because sad to say, the human remains we was finding out there wasn't intact. That's because there are animals out there. And what started off here can end up somewhere else, right? So it scatters, and it takes a lot of time to put boots on the ground to get people to come out there, spend a Saturday with you, 118-degree weather, and we looking on the ground for someone, right? And so it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. And so, like I was saying, some areas are still not searched that I would love to search that we missed. Because always, for a father standpoint, it's going to always be in my mind, what if that was the spot that should have been checked? You get what I'm saying? So you're always going to question yourself. Now they got new development out there, for instance. We searched that area where that development is now, that new smart city they put out there. I searched that area 3 times because I already had I had some battles with El Dorado Holdings and Howard Hughes Corporation and some of these guys. I mean, we was rebelling. People don't know off that scene when I'm in that when I was in my 1 bedroom apartment. I had some battles with these companies, but I got my way and I had these searches. They wanted me out that desert a long time ago, but I was able to hold my own and get these searches done. But I searched that area 3 times, and I still was worried about that area where they're building this new smart city. And so when I went out there on April the 12th last year, and they have roads out there now, they have streets and all this, and I still in my brain say, what if we missed something and now it's paved over? Those type things. And so yeah, so my mind is always like that. But like I said, at this point, the length of time and what we did search, I want to feel confident that Daniel is not out there. At the same time, like I said, the next time I have a search out there, it'll be something like that last search. And that's the reason why I had that search. It was based on 2 leads. And then the third part of that search was based on an area I couldn't get to. And I really wanted to get volunteers over there. But instead, I put the Arizona Rangers on that. And I still need some volunteers over there to this day to do a line search. But the next best thing was to get the Arizona Rangers, who had a good number of people. I think like 12 Rangers to be able to walk up that what we like to call Pride Rock. That's where the mountain lion live, and to search that area. Even though I already been up there on that hill where the mountain lion live, um, to do that area. But I also had law enforcement, the Buckeye Police Department, to do area that was east of where Daniel's vehicle was found, and that was where this tree is riddled with bullets, and I wanted them to use their dogs and things, so they agreed to that. They did that, and then but I can give Buckeye a little more credit because Detective Adams went a little further than the area that I set out for them to go search. They went out a little further, so I'm really grateful on that. And then the northern side was the line searches that I had for the volunteers. Mr. Petito was there as well, and that was the line searches going north. And that was based on a lead that of an elderly couple who had a sighting. They believed they saw Daniel come out of a ravine on Sun Valley Parkway on the day he went missing. So that was based on that. So I got a lot done. I'm saying with that. So I tried to think about when I asked for funding specifically for a search, that whatever people donate, I can actually use it fully the best way I can to get things done. So I was really grateful for that. But like I said, yes, you can help out with this case, Sam, in various ways. And I really need help, you guys. I have an A team. They're doing the best they can. But we need more people. We need people like, for instance, you can help me if anyone listening to me right now and want to join the Daniel Ross Foundation. I want that foundation doing the things I really set it out to be. When that foundation has my son's name, I birthed that foundation. That foundation was birthed from people who have missing loved ones who came out there in the searches to help me find my son, and also the pain and suffering that I have gone through just to go look for my son. The lack of resources. I mean, you name it. And so my goal is to have a foundation that can help families navigate those things and don't have those problems. So that's what the foundation is for. But I need people. I need people to help get this thing off the ground the way it should be. All right. I think I didn't miss anything else about how you can help. But anyway, I am Zodiac Cancer. Thanks so much for your question. After seeing Daniel damaged vehicle in the ravine, do you think someone or somebody pushed it down there, because the damage on that windshield looks like somebody had taken a baseball bat to it? And that's exactly what my investigator said. And I definitely know that to be a case, in my opinion, because he said the damage on that vehicle did not match the terrain. Right? He's as the reconstructionist. The other part is, um, you like you said, I am Zodiac, and I think I know who you are. That's why I paused like that because I think I know who you are now. Man, thank you so much for being here. I'm not gonna say your name, but anyway, but the thing is, uh, the baseball bat part of it. That's exactly what my investigator saw the impressions, two impressions, one on each side of that vehicle. And I want to add a little bit to that too. I am Zodiac. I'm sure you know this. Um, 2 days before that vehicle showed up in that ravine, I got a couple days. I think it was a day before that too. I don't want to be. I want to be make sure I had it correct. But anyway, my family was they get on social media more than I do. Believe it or not, I know y'all see me put posts up, but I don't actually go. I don't. If someone have a post and it don't come down the timeline where I actually see it, I don't go on people's pages looking for stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. And so, because I don't have that kind of time, and so my family was on the Buckeye Police Department's page, and they be going everything they post and they on their page and stuff. And they said, David, some guy said he seen a vehicle look like his son's vehicle, right, out in Buckeye. And so I went to go check it out. And sure enough, they was right. He was on the Buckeye Police Department's Facebook page, saying his wife took a picture of a vehicle that looks like Daniel's, and he want law enforcement. There's some reason they won't listen to him or whatever that case may be. And I heard that a lot about the Buckeye Police Department. They pick and choose what they want to accept. And so I contacted this guy, and I was about to say his name, and I'm not going to do that. But anyway, I contacted the guy, and he told me, yes, he said the picture he sent it to me. He sent me a copy of it on my cell phone. It was blurry, but then I showed it to my daughter, and because she seen Daniel's vehicle before I haven't at the time. And so she said, yeah, that looks like his vehicle. You can kind of make it out. But she said it's shaped like his vehicle, like the same color type, that type deal, right? And so I told the guy that I wanted to go. He told me exactly where it was at, over there off of Verado Way. And I say near where the first well site is. And so I say, okay, well, I'm coming up there to look at it. And he told me he'll send his drone or something to, I don't know why, but he said he'll send his drone to kind of help me guide me to the exact location. But he gave me the street name, Jet River Trail, and some of the other ones. But anyway, and so I had told my daughter. I called my daughter and said, "Hey, look, we're going up there to see if this is Daniel's vehicle, because she's seen Daniel's vehicle before." So I was going to come to her apartment and get her, and we're going to ride up there. But then I called Detective Biffin at the time and tell him what I was doing. I said, "Hey, Detective Biffin," the guy called and said that he seen a vehicle look like my son. And before I could finish the sentence, he said, "That's not your son's vehicle." And I said, "Okay, why you say that? Have you seen it?" And he said, "No." But I said, "Well, how you gonna say it's not my son's vehicle?" And then I said, "Can you please send someone out there to look?" I gave him the road where this guy said it was sitting on the side of the road. And the key part I want everybody to hear is this gentleman told me that the windshield, like somebody beat the windshield in. And it dawned on me hindsight now. That's what I'm saying. He mentioned those damages, and that's what I was going at, because he was talking about those impressions on the windshield. Like somebody took something and tried to beat the windshield in. That's what he told me. But it was sitting on the side of the road, and it was smashed into some I forgot the name of the plants. I know them by heart. It's something like, but it's a desert plant tree. And so I told him I'll be up there. But anyway, I told Detective Biffin to send a cruise out there. Can you send a cruise out there, someone out there, to see if it's Daniel's vehicle? And he agreed. Right. So I got my daughter, and I was on the way up there. I got on the interstate, and the gentleman called me back. He said, "Mr. Robinson, I went back out there to check on the vehicle, and it's gone." And I said, "What you mean it's gone?" He says, "Because it takes me a good 40 minutes or so just to get to Buckeye from Phoenix, but I had to go get my daughter too, right? So that took out a good time." And so I said, "What you mean it's gone?" He says, "It's gone. I mean, it was here, but it's gone." Then I called Detective Biffin back. I said, "Did y'all move the vehicle?" He didn't, because back up a little bit. I asked the guy, I told him, say, "Well, Buckeye said they're gonna send a cruiser out there." He said he saw the cruiser, but the vehicle was gone. So that's what made me call the Buckeye Police Department back, say, hey, did y'all move the vehicle or something? And to this day, they would not answer that question. But then 2 days later, ta-ta, your son's vehicle is showing up in this ravine, right? And that's the storyline that was for me. And then the second part that was very out of character or very suspicious, highly suspicious to me, is that I met Chief Hall right when the vehicle showed up. 2 days, met him 2 days after the vehicle showed up in a meeting that I had with the Buckeye Police Department. First time meeting him, that was set up by a Chief Anderson of Tempe Police Department at the time. The chief of Tempe and I became friends, and he helped me set that meeting up. And so Chief Hall showed up at the search, because when that vehicle showed up, I didn't stop my desert searches. I just needed it more now in the vehicle. Now we know what the vehicle had. We going to span our searches. That was my expansion. I had a meeting about it with my team. Say we're going to span our searches. We're going to span the. So we had to widen our grid of the search, right, based on this vehicle. And so where the vehicle's found, and the funny part is I didn't know exactly where the vehicle's found, other than from mapping that Detective Biffin gave me a picture of a map and some grids, because I'm a military guy and I can read maps. And so, excuse me, when that weekend came, now Chief Hall showed up at the search, and I told y'all the story before, but I'm not gonna go through the full thing. But he showed up the search, not to help me and my daughter, because my daughter was there. He just walked all over us, but he wanted to tell everybody who came to my search out there to follow him to this area that we didn't even know where the vehicle was found, physically seeing it, until he showed it to us, showed it to them, and overtly showing it to me and my daughter, the family. And what I got from that was that he was convincing us that vehicle was here in this ravine. And the idea was also that the vehicle was there for 30 days, and it's always based on some hard hat filled with rainwater. And I'm telling you, it's a story behind that too. But anyway, after seeing the damage on the vehicle, you said in that ravine, yes, I really believe someone put it there. The vehicle, like my investigator said, been crashed somewhere else, and ended up in a ravine. So that's my take on that. All right, I'll try to see if anybody have anything on Instagram. I don't see any questions. I don't see any more questions on YouTube. None on Facebook. So I really appreciate everyone who had questions, and I appreciate each and every last one of you that joined in on me. I will try to do some more live streams again, for my son's case. And, as soon as I get more time, like I told you before, we have a midterm election, a primary election here in South Carolina. That's June 9th. But as you all probably hear on the news side, national side, I guess, they're gerrymandering the lines. And so it's a big battle going on about the lines. They're trying to take out a seat. And so what's happening is what I'm running for, the date can be pushed all the way up to August, though people already started voting. I even have one person say they already voted for me, and their vote might not count because they moving this stuff. But anyway, that's some political talk I don't want to get into. But what I'm saying is the timing is that if I have more time to start doing some live streams again, but right now it's really, really crunch time to try to, because I have 4 people running, 3 people running against me right now, and it might end up being 4 depending on this map stuff. So it's going to take a lot of, moving and talking to people and stuff like that. So I'm going to try my best to get on here to answer some questions and also share other family stories, because it's important. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to share some family stories the best way I can, because I'm asking you all to do the same thing. Any free time you have, please share someone's story. I mean, it's easy to find. They all on Facebook. My son's not the only person missing. There's families out there that's really desperate needing you to share that story. I mean, you can find it. I mean, I've seen WLTS on our news channel here. Even every afternoon they have a person that, because I'm telling you, every day someone's going missing, and they have a story they put out. You easily hit that share button and take it on the 3 seconds to do that. And I promise you, it can hit the right person that you don't know. You're one of your friends may have a clue, and that's all they had to do was see it. So I'm gonna start off right here again. Ashley Williams, who went missing. Ashley Marie Williams, she's was 28 at the time. She's a black female with black hair, brown eyes, about 5'6" in height, 170 pounds. She went missing out there in L.A. If anybody have any information, Ashley was last seen on the 3800 block of Crawford Street in July of 2025. And her family, and you guys saw her family on one of my live streams. Um, Very, very loving family. Ashley's dad say he misses his daughter. She talks to him every day, like literally. She's a daddy's girl, and so Mr. and Mrs. Williams are really dedicated because they're out there in out there. And I'm about to say they're out there in Arizona. They went on Skid Row, even though they know their daughter's not part of things like that. I had to do that for Daniel. I had to go in the homeless population, so I get it. But they're out there spending money, doing it or trying to get their own investigation work done. That's what parents do. But they're out there really hard looking for Ashley. If anybody have any information about Ashley, you can call the Los Angeles Police Department, 1-877-527-3247, or you can use the QR code, learn more about her case. That'll take you straight to the LAPD newsroom where they're talking about her specifically, her case, and you can learn more. If you have any information, please, 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 help her come home because we need to bring Ashley home. And also we have here, let's see, next person I have here is Kaya. Annette Taylor. Kaya, excuse me, went missing out of Plant City, Florida. I think it was Plant City, Florida. I want to make sure I get that right. Plant City, Florida. But Kaya at the time, she was 28 years old when she went missing. She had red auburn hair, about 5'6" in height. She has brown eyes, 170 pounds, and she's biracial. And so, if you have any information about Kaya, and I can tell you, she's a sister of a very dear friend of mine. I met her because of their story about her sister. The circumstances of her on February of 6th of 2020 at approximately 4 p.m. Kaya left her resident on was at Cowart Road in Plant City after dropping her boyfriend off. Kaya's car was later found at approximately 7 p.m. abandoned at the East Trampanel Road, just west of Jep Tucker Road in Plant City. Her car was found unlocked and still running. Now, can you imagine that if you was riding down the road and you saw a vehicle just sitting on the train tracks or near the train tracks, and it's running with the lights on, running, nobody there. And I'm assuming, I think I remember something like the door open and or probably even closed, but the whole point is running. And law enforcement say they suspect no foul play. That's horrible. So what I'm saying is, if you have any information about what's going on with her, can you please reach out to? And I'm sorry, you can see me looking off screen. You guys, I have something that's going on just now. But if you have any information, you call the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office at 2222 Falkburn Road. That's in North Tampa, Florida, 3619. But the phone number is 813-247-8200. And also that's QR code there that will take you to finding Kaya page or the Facebook page, the family's page. You can get more information on how you can help that family bring Kaya home. Also here in Columbia, South Carolina, a family of Zelic Williams, very, very loving family. They're missing Zelic. He's a Broadway dancer, very talented, high-spirited, loving young man. If you, from what I hear, if you meet him, you will love him. And so he's missing. He's missing. He's at I think the age of 28, and he's about 6 feet tall, 150 pounds, black male with brown eyes, black hair, and again a Broadway dancer. Last seen on October the 3rd, 2024, here in Columbia, South Carolina. And again, this meeting, his parents, his cousins, his family members, they all want to bring Zelic home. So if you have information, please call the Richland County Sheriff's Office here in Columbia, South Carolina, at 803-576-3000. And there's a QR code there that will take you to the Richland County Sheriff's Office, and you can learn more about his case. But please share whatever you can find. You can Google as well, share his story, and let's bring him home. And lastly, I want to say, of course, my son Daniel Robinson went missing on June 23rd of 2021. My son Daniel, again, geologist, working really hard, went missing out doing something that he loved, his work. But he's born on January the 14th, 1997. He's now 28, going on 29, and he's 5'8" in height, 165 pounds, black male, brown eyes, and black hair. But the investigating agency will be me. It will be me. I have been investigating my son's disappearance since he went missing. I hired a private investigator who's no longer on the case, but investigating Daniel's disappearance. Also, I have been working with other investigators who have been investigating on Daniel's case, but currently I'm still investigating Daniel's case, and you can reach out to me on the tip line, and it's a 24-hour tip line that I pay for 7 days a week. Live operators take your call. If you don't want to even talk to anyone, you can text the word tip to the number, and a form will come, and you can still remain anonymous. The number is 844-602-0660, or you can call me directly at 803-200-7994. I will keep you anonymous if you call me directly, but if you want to call the tip line, you can remain anonymous. The Buckeye Police Department number is 623-386-4421. QR code there to take you to policehelpfinddaniel.com, where you can help me in my efforts to search for my son and everything else I'm doing surrounded. But my son, of course, went missing again in the Sonoran Desert of Arizona on June 23rd of 2021. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here tonight on this live stream. Again, I'm going to try my best to do this again. I'm looking for one more last question. I don't see any. So I'm going to end this live stream, but I want to leave you with one thing, and I'm going to leave you with CNN coverage of Daniel's case. I was working with Sarah Seidner at the time, who came out and spent a lot of time with me in that desert when I was out there searching for Daniel. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is something that one of the news articles that came from 2021, I believe 2021 or 2022, one out of two, when Daniel went missing. And again, this was CNN, but then once that video finished, then it'll be end of the live stream. So thanks so much again, everyone, for being here. God bless you, and we'll talk soon.
At the break of dawn, in the middle of the Arizona desert, a crowd of strangers meet for one purpose.
You guys coming out here to help me out, I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
To help another stranger, a father desperately searching for his 24-year-old son, Daniel Robinson.
Since he was a child, he liked to challenge everything.
He was born with a challenge.
And I wanted to introduce him to prosthetics because he's born one hand. We quickly learned that that's something that Daniel didn't want. He let nothing stop him. He decided to be a geologist once he got into freshman year in college. He excelled that, he graduated with honors.
Daniel's first job is checking the viability of water wells in the Arizona desert.
He loved this area, of course, because of the rock formation. You're a geologist, this is the best place to be.
But the terrain became a hellscape for his dad when Daniel went missing back in June from his job site.
And what number search is this?
This is search number 14.
Navigating the dangers in the desert, the Army veteran knows firsthand time is of the essence.
When I called the Buckeye Police Department, they told me that I had to wait an extra 3 hours because they had a 12-hour, report time when you can say a person is missing. Then I called them back and put in the missing person report. I got very worried. That's when I got very worried. I asked the Buckeye Police Department to go out and search that area. The officer told me that they were going to send a vehicle out there, a helicopter out to search for him. I was relieved. And then he called back an hour later and said, no, it was a no-go. I'm his dad, and he's my son. I lost all sense of reality. At that moment, I said, you know what? They're not going to look for my son. I'm going to have to do it myself.
Before he arrived, police did decide to search on foot and with helicopters. This is the last place your son was seen?
The last place.
What do you think happened, David?
I think a lot happened here. I'm very suspicious.
But he doesn't know what. A month in, there's a break in the case, and police call Robinson.
I got afraid, actually, that it's going to be some bad news. He said, no, we just found his vehicle.
Some ranchers found it, and then at that point, we conducted our investigation and additional searches.
What was the condition of the car? If it had rolled over, it sounds like it was pretty bad.
Yeah, the car was on its side. The sunroof was kicked out at that point, so he might have exited through the sunroof.
His wrecked car in a ravine, both airbags deployed, Daniel's cell phone, clothes he was wearing that day, and a case of water all found at the crash site. But not Daniel. People don't just disappear into thin air.
True.
Does that sort of feel like what's happened to here?
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very challenging case.
No matter how much the family asks for this to be a criminal investigation, can you make that happen?
We can't make up evidence. Absolutely suspicious circumstances related to the case.
Frustrated and heartbroken, Robinson hired a private investigator. Where are we going?
Down here is where the vehicle was recovered from.
Is that the glass from the car?
Yes.
When you looked at this accident, what are the discrepancies that you noticed right away?
I believe it was in more than one collision.
What does the data from the black box of the car tell you?
That there was 11 additional miles on the vehicle since the airbags came out.
What does that tell you?
That tells me it was crashed somewhere else.
Does that sound suspicious? What explains that?
Well, we had the national expert that came in and provided us his findings, and then they ended up speaking to an expert at Jeep, and the expert says, yes, sometimes that happens, and it's not unusual.
But the data also shows someone tried to start the car 46 times after the crash.
That's something we can't explain.
It begs the question, again, the family is saying it's criminal. It's got to be he's in danger. Do something.
Right. No, I agree. But we need information. We need evidence.
He's got a lot of theories. His words, I think, were, I don't think they cared. What do you say to that?
Can be furthest from the truth.
Losing hope, Robinson began pleading for media coverage.
It literally took 3 months.
While Robinson searched for his son, the country became riveted by media coverage of another missing persons case, the case of Gabby Petito.
In my situation, people think I love our children less or something, or they're less important.
In 2020, more than 543,000 missing persons records were filed. More than 480,000 were cleared. And 40% of the missing are people of color.
There are a lot of Gabby Petitos and Natalie Holloways in the Black and Brown community.
That's why former police officer Derica Wilson co-founded Black and Missing Inc. and says too often their cases go untold. Eventually, local stations did stories and citizens began helping search. Did you know Daniel?
No, I just wanted to help.
You're just helping out a stranger on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Why?
You know what? I can't imagine what that man's going through.
As the search for Daniel goes into its 5th month, another family is in the midst of a terrible mystery for a 5th year. The family of Nikki and Ariana Fitz.
Ariana is very energetic, very happy.
2-year-old Ariana went missing under the most suspicious of circumstances in the San Francisco Bay Area in 2016. Her mother, Nikki Fitz, was found in a shallow grave in San Francisco's McLaren Park, but Ariana was gone.
It breaks my heart that Ariana's not with her mom and Ariana's not with her family, but it also breaks my heart even more is that I know that Nikki wants nothing more than Ariana to be with us, to be home.
Tessa Fitz says she is convinced her niece Ariana was taken by people close to Ariana's mother. San Francisco police searched for weeks. They had some leads, but no arrests. A digitally altered photo was made of what she may look like now.
And she's 8 now. I don't want to see this in a picture. I want to see her face in person.
Should Ariana Fitz be a household name like Jean-Benet Ramsey?
Absolutely. Why is her case any different from Kaylee Anthony? I can tell you, the color of their skin is the only difference.
For 5 desperate years, the family has continued searching using flyers, social media, and Black and Missing ink.
Do you think it has anything to do with color?
I try not to put myself in the mindset of the race issue with her media coverage. All I want is for there to be the media coverage for her. I think she deserves that.
The Fitts and the Robinsons want only one thing, with hugging their missing children once again.
Do you think that Ariana is still alive?
I do believe that Ariana is still alive, and it would mean everything to me to know where she is and to find her. I wait for that day every single day. I believe that day will come.
How long will you search?
Till I find my son. I have to. I mean, he's my responsibility.
Sarah Seidner, CNN, Buckeye, Arizona.